All right, so I want to talk about something that could genuinely change how you look at your life. We're going to dive into this incredible study that basically took all the wisdom from thousands of the oldest people in America and boiled it down for the rest of us. This isn't just some theory, this is the real deal, earned over a lifetime.
You know, the one thing that came up again and again and again from people in their 80s, 90s, even their hundreds was this. It sounds like a cliche when you're young, right? But for them, it was this shocking reality. They said it doesn't just feel short, it feels like it happens in a flash.
So that's the big question, isn't it? If we actually take their word for it, if we accept that our time here is incredibly brief, then how do we make sure we get to the end without a laundry list of regrets? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore, using their answers as our guide.
So, where did all this amazing advice come from? It's from something called the Cornell Legacy Project. A researcher named Dr. Carl Pillemer had this light bulb moment. He thought, instead of just studying all the problems of getting old, why don't we ask these folks what they've learned? So he set out to create a sort of practical guide to living from the people who've lived the longest. And right off the bat, they hit us with this massive truth. So many of us think, I'll be happy when I get the job, when I meet the person, when I have enough money. The elders, they say that's a total trap. They learn that you have to choose to be happy right in the middle of all the mess and imperfection of real life. So if happiness is a choice, how does that connect to regret? Well, it's fascinating. When Dr. Pillemer asked them what their single biggest regret was, the answer wasn't what you might expect. It was something we all do probably every single day. I mean, you'd think they'd talk about these huge, dramatic life mistakes, right? Cheating on a spouse, a massive business failure, something like that. But nope, that's not what came up time and time again. The most common regret was way more subtle and a lot more universal. This quote just says it all. There was a woman in the study who spent 3 solid months paralyzed with anxiety because her company was having layoffs. She had absolutely zero control over it. And in the end, when she looked back, all she felt was that she had wasted that time. She literally said, I wish I had those 3 months back. The real price of worry is your life. Now, they're not saying we should just be blissfully ignorant. Not at all. They draw this really sharp, really important line between what they call mindless worry, that's just spinning your wheels, obsessing over stuff you can't change, and conscious planning. Planning is taking all that anxious energy and pointing it at the things you can actually do something about. That's how you turn fear into action. Okay, so after worry, what was the next big category of regrets? Yep, you probably guessed it. It all came down to people, our connections with each other. This was another one that was basically unanimous. At the finish line, nobody is thinking about the promotion they got, the fancy car they drove, or the size of their house. All of that stuff just fades away. What's left? The people you loved and the memories you made. That's it. And if you need proof, just look at this. It's staggering. Out of 1,200 people interviewed for the book that came from this study, not a single person, not one, said, gee, I wish I'd worked harder to buy more stuff. 0. That number should hit all of us like a ton of bricks. And they pointed to a really specific danger zone in life. They called it the middle age blur. You know what this is. It's your 30s, 40s, 50s. You're so busy building a career, paying a mortgage, raising kids, that the whole period just flies by in a haze. And so many people woke up on the other side of it and realized they'd lost touch with the people who mattered most. So what's the real cost of letting those connections slide? They use this incredible metaphor. It's like carrying a weighted backpack. Every time you don't say I love you, every time you swallow an apology you know you should make, every time you just don't say what needs to be said, you're just adding another rock to that pack. And it gets heavier and heavier. The only way to lighten the load is to speak up. Now. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what to avoid, but let's flip it. What should we be actively doing to live a life that's full and free of regret? Well, the elders gave us 5 big keys. So here they are, the big 5. Number 1, always be honest. 2, say yes to opportunities. 3, travel more. 4, choose your life partner with extreme care. They said this one decision affects like 90% of your happiness. And finally, number 5, say it now, don't wait. Let's dig into a couple of these a little more. This say yes rule is just a game changer. What they found, looking back over 80 or 90 years, is that the sting of a missed opportunity lasts way, way longer than the sting of trying something and failing. So when life presents you with a chance to do something new, to grow, their advice is just lean in and say yes. And when they talked about honesty, it went deeper than just not telling lies. The really important part was being honest with yourself. Are you admitting to yourself that you actually hate your job or that a relationship just isn't working? They said that kind of self-betrayal, just staying stuck in a bad situation, is one of the biggest sources of regret down the line.
And all of this advice about not worrying, about focusing on people, about being honest and saying yes, it all ties back to that one huge, powerful theme we started with. I mean, wow, just let that sink in. A 99-year-old person looks back at their entire life, and it feels like a split second. This is the message they are practically screaming at us from the future. They want us to get it, to really get it, while we still have time.
But here's the crucial twist. This isn't supposed to be depressing. It's not meant to make you anxious. They actually see it as a gift. It's a superpower. When you truly accept that your time is short, it's like having the ultimate filter for your life. It makes everything crystal clear and gives you the courage to cut out the nonsense. So what does that actually look like day to day? Well, it means you just make different choices. You don't waste 5 more years in a job that crushes your soul. You don't stay in a relationship that makes you feel small. You don't put off telling people how you feel about them. And you soak up every single minute you have with your kids because you know it's not forever. And that really brings it all home. This incredible wisdom from people who've lived it all, it's only useful if we actually do something with it. So I'll just leave you with this question. Based on everything you just heard, what's one thing you're going to do differently, starting today?